Imagine waking up in a world where one of the most important substances in human history simply didn't exist.
No salt on the table, no salt in food, no salt to preserve meat. Just an ordinary world, missing one extraordinary mineral.
Today, salt is so common that most people never think about it.
But for our ancestors, salt was more valuable than gold in many places. Entire civilizations fought wars, built trade routes, and grew rich because of it. Now erase all of that from history.
How different would humanity become if no one had ever discovered salt?
The answer begins inside your own body.
Every heartbeat, every muscle movement, and every thought depends on tiny amounts of sodium.
Without sodium, your nerves cannot send electrical signals properly. Your heart struggles. Your muscles weaken. Your brain begins to fail. Fortunately, ancient hunters naturally consumed sodium from the animals they killed. Fresh meat contained enough sodium to keep small hunting groups alive. But everything changed once humans began farming. Grains and vegetables contain far less sodium than meat. As diets changed, finding extra salt became a matter of survival. Animals already knew where salt could be found. Hunters noticed something strange. Deer kept returning to the very same rocks. Those weren't ordinary rocks. They were natural salt licks. Curiosity changed history with a single lick. For the first time, humans discovered a concentrated source of sodium. But in our alternate history, those salt deposits never existed. No white crystals. No salty springs. Nothing. Humanity never learns what salt tastes like. At first, life seems almost normal. People still hunt. They still gather. They still survive. But another problem is quietly growing larger every single day. Without salt, the greatest challenge isn't finding food. It's keeping it alive long enough to eat. The hunt was a success. Tonight, everyone would eat well. But there was far more meat than the tribe could finish in a single day. By the next sunrise, nature had already begun reclaiming the leftovers.
Within hours, insects arrived by the thousands, laying eggs across the flesh. Invisible bacteria multiplied rapidly, transforming valuable food into dangerous waste. Most of the animal had to be discarded before anyone could safely eat it. A successful hunt no longer guaranteed tomorrow's meal. Instead of resting, the hunters had to leave once more in search of fresh prey. Every day became another race against hunger. Bad weather could erase every chance of finding food. Families never knew if the hunters would return empty-handed.
Some nights, there simply wasn't enough for everyone. Then winter arrived, and survival became far more difficult. Rivers froze, plants disappeared, and animals migrated away.
Every hunt demanded more energy than the food it often provided.
Days passed with nothing to eat.
Without preserved food, starvation became a yearly visitor.
The elderly were usually the first to lose their strength.
Parents sacrificed their own meals so their children might survive.
Some tribes never saw the end of winter. Without stored food, villages could never grow very large. Food storage is the foundation of every civilization. Grain could be stored for months, but valuable protein disappeared almost immediately.
Fishing was just as frustrating.
Without salt, most of the catch spoiled before it reached nearby villages. Long-distance trade in food became nearly impossible. Humanity remained divided into countless small, isolated communities. And if feeding a village was difficult, feeding an army would be almost impossible.
An army marches on its stomach, but without salt, that stomach would soon be empty. Fresh meat spoiled long before an army reached distant lands.
Within days, precious supplies became useless.
A starving army is an army that cannot fight.
Long military campaigns became almost impossible. Most expeditions would end before reaching their destination. Without reliable food, large empires struggled to survive. Instead of giant kingdoms, the world remained divided into small territories. Trade routes exist because valuable goods travel across great distances. But food without preservation simply couldn't make the journey. Markets stayed small, serving only nearby communities. Ideas spread slowly when people rarely traveled.
Even brilliant discoveries remained trapped inside tiny communities.
Many of history's famous trade roads would never be built. Global commerce might never truly begin.
Salt doesn't only preserve food, it transforms its flavor.
Meals would be noticeably bland compared to what we know today. Many famous foods would simply never exist. No cured meats. No pickles. No salted fish. Even many traditional cheeses would disappear from history.
Fermented sauces would become rare or impossible to produce.
Cooking itself would evolve in a completely different direction.
People would depend entirely on herbs, smoke, and spices for flavor.
Some regions might still contain tiny amounts of sodium hidden in nature. People would learn to waste almost nothing from every animal they hunted.
Every meal would become a lesson in survival and efficiency. Yet one enormous question still remains. Could civilization ever reach the modern world?
The answer is probably no. Without salt, history would take a completely different path. Small tribes might survive, but great civilizations would struggle to appear.
Without food storage, population growth would remain painfully slow.
Cities would stay small, isolated, and vulnerable to every failed harvest. Fewer people meant fewer specialists to invent new tools. Brilliant discoveries would often disappear with the people who made them.
Knowledge grows when civilizations connect. Isolation keeps progress slow. Without strong trade networks, ideas would travel only short distances.
Long-distance exploration might never become common. Entire continents could remain unknown to one another for thousands of extra years. Life would change very little from one generation to the next. Human history would move forward, but at a much slower pace. Each region would invent its own unique way to survive.
But none of those solutions could truly replace the power of preserved food.
The modern food system simply couldn't exist. No global shipping, no year-round supermarkets, no massive food reserves.
Almost everyone would spend most of their lives producing food just to survive. Today, salt seems ordinary. But history tells a different story.
A substance we barely notice once determined the fate of civilizations. It fueled trade, protected food, and helped connect the ancient world. Many of the comforts we take for granted might never have existed.
Sometimes history is shaped not by giant empires, but by the smallest things imaginable.
A single mineral quietly helped build the world we know today.